Hi everyone, I'm Steven and today I'm making a Venom mask out of cardboard. If you're curious, please subscribe, like this video, and let's get to it. I started off by taping all over my face and coming up with a pattern that I cut out of cereal box cardboard. I made sure that this pattern had room for big eyes and a very oversized jaw. I wasn't too concerned about it looking accurate to how Venom actually looks because I planned to alter this substantially. The main goal was just to get a comfortable face shell that I could build off of. This project is definitely more like sculpting instead of following along the dotted line, so I was excited to give this mask a shot. Anyway, these pieces were taped together with masking tape, and then I cut the jaw off and made it into a more believable shape by giving the chin some structure. After that, I started gluing on corrugated cardboard to reinforce it, but also to bulk out some areas. I basically just glued scrap corrugated cardboard all over the mask while keeping an eye on the overall shape. If you do this project, you can totally go wild, just be mindful of the curvature of the head. As you can see, some parts got lots of layers and others weren't even touched. Around the mouth, I glued small rectangles cut from corrugated cardboard to make a slightly thicker area that would represent the lips. I think that there is something kind of raw and beautiful about cardboard sculptures like this, but that's not the point of this channel, so I grabbed my masking tape and covered the entire mask with long strips of tape. The tape hides all the imperfections and some of the gaps by sitting on top of everything. See, this is what it looks like covered in tape. For the eyes, I just shoved a piece of paper inside the mask and laid it as flat as I could so it would cover the eye opening. I took a pencil and roughly marked how big the lens needed to be. I definitely went oversized just to be safe. Remember, you can always cut something down to make it smaller, but it's not always easy the other way around. Anyway, I traced the shape onto a splatter screen that I got from the dollar store and cut out the shapes. If you've seen any of my other Spider-Man videos, you probably know that I love using screens for eyes. For this Venom mask, I pressed firmly on the screen so it would curve a little bit along with the curve of the mask. The two pieces of screen got painted with 2 coats of white craft paint before I put them off to the side to finish working on the rest of the mask. Venom has an ooey gooey symbiote looking skin, and the best way to get this texture is to use hot glue. I took my hot glue gun and glued squiggles all over the mask, making sure to keep them flowing in the same direction. This is another part of the project where you can go wild, but make sure to be mindful of the squiggles so they make sense. When everything is painted, the masking tape combined with the hot glue squiggles will have a really cool organic looking texture. Just wait. When I think of Venom, the second thing I think of after the symbiote skin are his scary looking teeth. Venom has multiple rows of jagged teeth, so to make them, I took 2 sheets of computer paper out of my recycling bin and ripped and rolled them into tiny paper cones. These cones got hot glued into his mouth. I kept it very haphazard looking, with small ones next to big ones, next to crooked ones, next to broken ones. I wanted it to look menacing and raw and rugged. That's actually why I decided to make this video. Halloween is coming up and I thought it would be fun to make something menacing and kind of villainous. So yeah, for a while I thought the mask was looking a little bit like a crocodile, but the more teeth that get added in, the more Venom's face starts to come together and come out. All the teeth on the front of the mouth got pushed into place with glue, kind of like you would push in a thumbtack. I made a dollop of glue and then pushed the tooth on. And yes, I know that Venom's teeth are bigger in the comics and the movie, but I like the proportions I used, and you'll see why later on in this video. It took a couple of hours to make and glue in all these teeth, but it's definitely well worth it. I actually kind of wanted to do more, but I stopped myself from going too crazy. Now, to make the teeth look like they're growing out of his gums versus just sitting on top of them, I went back over the entire gum line with hot glue. I let it blob up and look messy and kind of like it really is constantly moving and morphing because the symbiote covers Venom's entire body. I let that glue dry, but I knew I needed to make the tongue. Oh, the tongue. I wasn't sure I'd actually add one, but I thought I'd play around to see if I could make something that looked okay. I took 3 sheets of scrap computer paper and lightly rolled and crumpled them into something that resembled a tongue. I then wrapped this tongue in masking tape, making sure to bend it first before taping it in order to avoid any unnecessary wrinkles and creases. And voila! Tongue was done. But I decided to give it a few dots here and there with hot glue. I figured these dots kind of represented Venom's taste buds and made the tongue just look a little bit more realistic. With that done, I painted the entire mask in black gloss craft paint with the exception of the teeth and the gums. When the paint dried, I hot glued in the painted screens for his eyes, and if you make this, just hold the screens into place until the glue cools, otherwise they might pop out. Now back to the tongue. I decided to use hook and loop from the dollar store to attach it to the mask. That way, I wouldn't be obligated to use his giant tongue if I wanted to use this mask without looking like I'm about to lick someone. Basically, I like having the option to not use it. Anyway, I cut out a big teardrop shape from a cereal box, painted it black, and made sure that it fit into Venom's mouth, resting on his chin and then going up to between his eyes. I added hook and loop at the end of the tongue and to the area between the eyes. Super simple, and now the mask has a removable tongue. I ended up painting the tongue a mix of red, brown, and white craft paint, as well as the gums. Off camera, I added some little jagged edges around his eyes, but you'll see what I did in a few seconds when I reveal the finished product. So there you have it, a Venom mask made from cardboard, tape, and a healthy dose of hot glue. This build is a little time consuming, mainly due to the teeth, but overall I'm happy with the way it turned out and don't mind if it took a little bit of extra time with the teeth. I love that the tongue can be removed and that the mask is super lightweight and comfortable. You can totally see out of the eyes, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I love reading all the comments and I try to respond to everyone. Anyway, I try to post almost every week, so I'd really love it if you would subscribe to my channel and like this video. Thanks for watching, and talk to you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.